For those of you who didn't join us on the paddle, I encourage you, if you are so inclined to paddle at some other time, please get out on the river. It is beautiful. And today is a beautiful day. We are so thrilled to have another event here at the Bill Ash Visitor Facility. Some of you were here for our dedication in May. We're thrilled to have, the Congresswoman was here, our State Senator Amy Eldridge was here, our Deputy Director Jim Kurtz was here. You're going to see them all again. Our Refuge Chief, Regional Refuge Chief Scott Kahn was here, and many of you. We're going to hear from some folks today. We have a very brief ceremony and presentation. And then hopefully there'll be a few minutes so that the Congresswoman, you can continue to chat. I know you don't even want to hear us talk, you just want to talk to the Congresswoman. But anyway, we just want to say really briefly that this facility, for those of you who are new to here, was named after Bill Ash. Bill was a lifelong member, representative, a staff member of the Fish and Wildlife Service. He was a really important conservationist, both nationally, regionally, and locally. He lives in Harvard. He's lived in Harvard since 1975, and a lot of the conservation of this area, it takes many, many people to conserve lands and to manage these lands. He was one of the really important people in the whole conservation of this area. And so we named this facility after him. Okay, we're going to have just a few brief presentations. And we're going to start with Ronna Belko from the Friends of Oxbow National Wildlife Refuge.
Welcome. What a beautiful day. Today, a canoe or kayak ride on the Nashua River is a special experience in nature thanks to Marion Stoddard's initiative, with corporations, school students, and many other volunteers, including the Friends doing river cleanups over the years, who have worked to remove the toxins and pollutants from the river. It is now healthy again, but we must still continue our vigilance to pass it on to future generations in pristine conditions. The drought this summer has reminded us just how crucial water is to our survival, as well as plants and animals who live here. We are so fortunate to share the Nashua River. We need to further protect our water supplies from encroaching development pressures. We are all connected with this vital natural resource. I am delighted that Nikki is instrumental in starting the process in Congress to declare our Nashua River a wild and scenic river. What a great way to further engage our students in ecology and natural sciences. Thank you. We can all really, truly make a difference.
Ron is the president of the Friends of Oxbow. The Friends group has been around since the late 1990s and is one of the really critical partners that are working and organizations working together to protect this area. Our next speaker is Elizabeth Ainsley Campbell. She is the executive director of the Nashua River Watershed Association and is again another vital and partner in advocacy for the river.
As Ronna was saying, we have much to celebrate as we gather for Congresswoman Saunders' River Day. Our magnificent Nashua River is in the spotlight, and so are the people who protect it. This morning, I've been asked to bring you up to date on a new expanded chapter and what's being done to protect the river. I think, as most of you know, with extraordinary leadership from Nikki Songas, Congress passed the Nashua River Wild and Scenic River Study Act, and that authorized the National Park Service to commence a study of sections of the Nashua, Squanicook, and Nissitissit rivers to see if they're eligible and suitable for designation as part of the National Park Service Partnership Wild and Scenic Rivers Program. So to garner bipartisan support and to have it unanimously passed in Congress, oh my gosh, gargantuan feat, and we are all so very grateful to Nikki for that. So this study, yes. We really can't thank her enough. Okay, so this study provides an opportunity for towns to work together for their shared resources on a regional scale. It's a vehicle for providing communities with the incentive, the structure, expertise, and funding needed to identify the issues and the goals. The process, and this is an important point, is voluntary and entirely locally determined. So, a study committee has been formed, and along with the National Park Service, the Nashua River Watershed Association is playing a lead role. The towns have each formally appointed a representative and an alternate, and the committee also includes reps from National Fish and Wildlife Service, Mass Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, Mass Division of Ecological Restoration, USGS, and volunteers. The people on this committee are exceptionally knowledgeable. They're wonderful resource managers, hydrologists, land protection specialists, fishermen, historians, town administrators, conscoms agents, more. They are a very robust group. The study that they're doing is expected to be about a 3-year process. We're currently studying, and we're about a year into the real work. We know our rivers have a stunning cultural history, outstanding biological and ecological resources, and extensive recreational opportunities. We know a lot. We need to know even more, and this is an opportunity to delve very deeply into the special features of our rivers, the outstanding, remarkable resource values, the values we think will make our rivers eligible for designation. Ultimately, a report will be prepared by the National Park Service on all those findings. Now, additionally, a management plan will be developed. And this, in many ways, is really the main work of the study committee. In the coming 2 years, committee members will be reaching out to the community, to town boards, to groups, to organizations, to individuals, to involve them actively in crafting a vision for the future of these rivers, and to determine how these rivers should best be managed to protect their resource values in the coming times. Toward the end of the study process, that's the end of the 3-year process, town boards will deliberate on the resultant management plan. And each town will vote at its town meeting, probably spring of 2018, on whether it recommends that that designation is pursued. It's up to the people to ask Congress to do this designation. So if the towns do vote affirmatively, the report and management plan will be sent to Congress. Designation will only be granted if the study process that we're doing now has demonstrated that there are outstanding resources and that there is a voluntary local commitment to protect them. So we have much work to do together and much to look forward to. In closing, I do want to point out that a number of people working with the study committee are here. You might want to have a word with them afterwards, so if they could just identify themselves when I mention them. Libby Herland is working with us. Lucy Wallace is the chair. Al Futterman's a key staff person back there. Robert Combriand from the town of Air. Mike Fleming is, there's Mike. Mike Fleming is here. Paula Tarassi was out on the river. There she is. She was in the paddle boat, and Leah Bassbanks and Beth Sudemeyer. And I may have missed some folks. Heidi Ritchie is here, of course. It is a phenomenal group. So, Congresswoman Tsongas, with her deep commitment to rivers throughout her district and her work on the House Natural Resources Committee, has provided us with a tremendous opportunity. Thank you.
All right, thank you, and it's a real pleasure to be involved with this process and to work with people like Elizabeth, whose leadership has just been fantastic for many, many years. Next, we're going to hear from another very strong advocate of our rivers and our refuges and all things natural, State Senator Jamie Eldridge.
So thank you so much, Libby, and I want to thank you and your entire staff for working with Elizabeth and all of her wonderful staff, the National River Watershed Association, for setting up today's river tour. Just want to really add to the compliments to Nikki. All the steps that Elizabeth spoke about to eventually get to the designation, that would not have happened without her leadership in passing the study legislation in the United States Congress. And I think what's been great about it is it brings together so many people in this area who care deeply about the environment and want to continue to restore our rivers. But I would also add that I think what I'm particularly impressed with Nikki about is that any event that I see her at in other parts of our overlapping districts, she's talking about the history of her legislative and congressional district and the history of the rivers and how it contributes to the economy, to the environment, to the quality of life, whether it's the Merrimack River, the Nashua, the Aspen and Concord rivers, which is closer to my hometown. So I really do want to thank you for your leadership on that. And I would just say that I hope people realize that there are also battles at the state level that I am fighting. Governor Baker had proposed reducing the standard for enforcing our environmental laws. I was very proud to work closely with some of my colleagues to defeat that effort, as well as to maintain at least level funding for organizations and agencies like the Department of Environmental Protection. So although Massachusetts is a blue state, we do have a lot of challenges here at the state level. And so I really want to express my appreciation for all my constituents, many of whom are here, for how much they care about the environment, because when I think about the things I fight for in Beacon Hill, they really are at the end of the day, because there's so many constituents of mine who are calling, who are advocating, obviously part of wonderful organizations like the Fish and Wildlife Service and NRWA. So thank you for your tremendous work, and it was wonderful to be here. I want to give a special thanks to Scott for guiding me on my canoe paddle. Thank you very much.
We're just really fortunate to have such wonderful elected officials in our area. It just makes us, it helps us do our job, believe me. Now I want to introduce Jim Kurth. He's our Deputy Director of the Fish and Wildlife Service. If you were here for the dedication of the Bill Ash facility, then you heard Dan Ash speak. He's our director, and he couldn't be here today because he's on his way to Africa, and he's been in Hawaii the last week, and he's just, and I think actually Jim was in Hawaii too, so I don't know why he doesn't have the excuse that Dan is, but Jim is here. Jim has been, he's lived in refuges for 35 years. He's a former refuge manager, so even though he's our deputy director now and is involved with everything that the Fish and Wildlife Service does, which is involved with federally listed threatened endangered species, migratory birds, animals, any animal that migrates, contaminants, law enforcement, all kinds of things. At his heart, he is a refuge manager, which is the part of the Fish and Wildlife Service that we are. We're a national wildlife refuge. He was our chief for a while. One of the things I really love about Jim is that the history of the Fish and Wildlife Service and the history of conservation is something that he carries deep in his heart. And really the decisions and where we got to from the past is critical to where we are now, and the decisions that we're making today are critical for the future, for the protection of the refuges and for wildlife and for people. Because all this is all about people. It all benefits people. So I probably just stole your whole entire speech, Jim, but I'm sure you can come up and say things a lot more eloquently than me. But it's a real pleasure to have you here. Really.
Well, it is a privilege to be here and share River Days with Congresswoman Tsongas. I don't get out in a canoe as often as I used to back when I was a refuge manager, and it really was delightful. What a beautiful day. Dan did want me to express his regrets on being here. He is getting ready to head to Africa to lead the U.S. delegation to the conference of the parties for the Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species. So he's got 2 grueling weeks meeting with people all over the world trying to bring a halt to the illegal trade in endangered wildlife and to bring some of the legal trade under the convention. So he does express his regrets. He's probably in trouble with his mother and father, who live just up the road, for not coming to an event in their hometown, but he would have been here if he could. It's so great to see all you folks come out here for this River Day. You know, Congresswoman Tsongas leads many of the things we do in conservation, but that's because she's representing you and what people this part of Massachusetts want, and that's to have beautiful places like this protected, to have this river protected, to have it even more protected as a wild and scenic river. And we can't thank you enough for your leadership. She's got a tough job. She's ranking on our oversight committee. She's got a chairman who's a handful to deal with, yet she manages that relationship with decorum and protects the natural resources that all of us care about at a time where they're under threat. You know, this crusade to take our public lands and turn them back to someone who never owned them is a huge threat here. And I know that you folks are great champions of places like Oxbow National Wildlife Refuges and all the refuges in Massachusetts and throughout the country. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And so if you can't be brilliant, they tell me to be brief. Thank you very much for letting me come out with you this morning. God bless you.
So now it's my distinct honor to invite Congresswoman Nikki Tsongas up to the podium. I am thrilled that we're a part of this River Day event. This is the third River Day event of yours that we have participated in. You were at Assabet River National Wildlife Refuge at our Visitor Center. And we also did one at Great Meadows, although it was actually through the Concord at the Thoreau School. But remember we held the Blandings turtles together? So even though Blandings turtles are really important in Oxbow Refuge, you're not going to see a Blandings turtle today. We saw a painted turtle out on the river. But we're really focused on the river here for this event. And we're just thrilled to have you here and to be able to be part of your event. So, thank you. Come on up.
Thank you all. Well, it's always great to be with a group who cares so passionately about our environment, and especially those places they love that are in their own backyard, as the natural river is. So, one of the things we do with River Day, this is my 10th River Day. I first sort of imagined it as a candidate when I recognized that this very diverse district, which goes from Haverhill in the east out to Gardner in the west, and then swings down to include Devon, Harvard, Shirley, Concord, Acton, not Wayland no more, but Maynard, Hudson. Given that diversity, what really pulled it together was its rivers. So if you think of the Assabet and the Sudbury as tentacles into pieces of the district coming in together in Concord and then make to the Concord River and then making their way to Lowell and joining the Merrimack River and then traveling through Essex County and out towards the ocean, it's those rivers that really do bind us. And the Nashua is a tributary of the Merrimack. And a lot of other smaller rivers. We started out today at the Spigot River in Lawrence. It's a small tributary, runs through the city, very, very challenged river, but very much a part of that community. And there were several hundred young people out to help clean it up. So Groundwork Lawrence, an organization there that has done so much to connect the river to the people in the city and to the places in the city, has been able to draw a lot of young volunteers into the effort. So we do this every year. We drop down in different places to sort of see what the challenges are, what the opportunities have been. And so it's great to be here and to celebrate the progress that's being made around the Nashua River and designating it as a wild and scenic river. So I want to thank Jim Kurz for coming up from DC. For those who don't know, it's a tough, tough job to be involved in the Fish and Wildlife Service. As I have served on the Natural Resources Committee, they have a daunting challenge because they're tasked with implementing the Endangered Species Act. That usually involves very tough decisions that impact how lands are locally used, and they just don't have an easy time in front of Congress because there are many, many who really would like to undo that piece of legislation, as they would also seek to undo federal control of many of our lands across this country. So I thank you for making this trip and then being a good paddler, because I didn't do such a great job. But I want to thank you for that. And it's great to be here as well with Jamie. No level of government can do it by itself. You know, I always say what we all need to understand is it's a strategic partnership. What do we each bring to the table? So we in Washington can do certain things, but we need the support at the state level. We need the support at the local level. We obviously need the nonprofit community and all that it does, as you see so ably in your Friends organization and the Watershed Association. You need those efforts as well, and then often you need the input of the private sector. So it's really a combination of efforts, and I'm proud to be able to do what I do in Washington and to have enabled this study so we can see what comes. When it finally passed, it was attached to the National Defense Authorization Act. Not something we always endorse or agree with, but sometimes we have to accept however it happens. And as an example, right now, the National Defense Authorization Act has ground to a standstill because there's a fight over something called the greater sage-grouse, which has also made its way into the NDAA and trying to prevent it from ever being declared an endangered species. So as much as that is not the place where these fights should be taking place, they do take place there, but sometimes they also they are fights that are to our benefit. So it was my honor to introduce that legislation. I look forward to working with you as the study moves forward. I commend all of you here, and I see Marion Stoddard here, who was such a leader in the forefront of moving this ahead. But all of you here obviously passionately care about the Nashua River, and as we paddled upriver and then came back downriver, I can see why it's a beautiful, beautiful place, and we hope to protect it for the future as we continue moving through this process. So thank you for being part of River Day, and thank you for all that you do to help protect this river and our environment in general. And with that, I would like to present a couple of certificates of special congressional recognition. First, to the Friends of Oxbow National Wildlife Refuge. To thank you for your commitment to protecting the wildlife habitat along the Nashua River and within the Oxbow National Wildlife Refuge. Your advocacy has certainly contributed to the growth and success of the refuge.
Unfortunately, our board of directors had other commitments today too.
Well, I'm grateful for those who are here. It's a beautiful Saturday. But thank you, because your work is ongoing, not just to be here, but it is ongoing always. Thank you. And here we have a certificate of special congressional recognition for the Devon's Open Space and Recreation Advisory Committee. So who would represent us?
And Al?
Thank you
Everybody
for
is
your
on the
commitment.
committee. Al is on the committee.
Neil?
Neil, hey, Neil.
Yeah.
Al, anybody else here from the committee?
Similarly, thank you for protecting the valuable wildlife habitats at the former Fort Devon. It's certainly been a real model, too, as what can possibly happen when land is made available through the BRAC process. It's been a remarkable work. These efforts have helped ensure the protection of the Nashua River, as well as provide recreational opportunities to people in the area. How fortunate they are to have you all. And with that, I'll turn it back to Libby. Are we?
With it, this is
Thank you
it.
so much for being part of this day.
And I want to thank the Friends of Oxbow for the refreshments. I think we did really well with ours. We had 10 minutes. So if you want to please, I think the event's supposed to go to 11:15, so we have actually 9 minutes. So let's mingle. Please eat the refreshments, and thank you all for being here today. We appreciate it. It's fun.